But I just wanted to end on kind of an imaginative note, and I'm curious if, and the audience can join in this too, if our panelists can close your eyes for a minute, and imagine 100 years from now, we've changed our relationship to our waterways in the Great Salt Lake and Colorado River basins to be a relationship of care, respect, reverence, reciprocity. What does that future look like? Taste like, smell like, sound like? What do you feel on your skin? What do you imagine? And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
I think what I kind of, well, first, I think I don't hear any traffic noise, I think, in that world. And I see a lot of people in that world. Like, I'm noticing, maybe also coming from Europe, whenever I go back there, I realize that it's as if a weight is lifted when I'm back in cities where you see people out there's a public space, right? Which I think Salt Lake has in places. But the way the city is constructed, it's extremely difficult, right? Like in public transport, other places, you see a lot of homeless people, which is a problem of its own, which doesn't exist in this future. And I think maybe to just tie it all to one feature that I see in this society, it's a society of profound reciprocity. And this is also something I read in various indigenous authors, including Patty Kroik, who talks about, right, that maybe wealth means not the capacity to amass a ton of material goods. Maybe wealth means to know that if you fall in hard times, you'll be okay, right? Because people will be there and non-humans will be there. And I think if people are no longer afraid that if they don't amass things, they might end up on the streets and sick and dead, they might be a whole lot more willing to actually, hear about the environment, because they're no longer scared that maybe this will take the little bit that they carved out of this material wealth from them. So I think that's what I'm seeing.
Thanks, Thomas. Anyone else want to share before we close out?
I think my future vision is almost like the image that I imagine when people first came into Utah. So as the last ice age was melting and things were warming up and humans were moving around, and the first evidence we have of people coming into Utah is about 13,000 years ago when Great Salt Lake was formed. And I love that it never existed without people. I think that's a pretty neat concept. It's always had a relationship with people. But I also know that at that time, the aquifers were full. They were bubbling over because we just had evaporated Lake Bonneville. And so the water table is so close to the surface, and the rivers are flowing, and there are fish, and there's people fishing, and people living with this close connection to the lake. And I think when I have imagined the most beautiful future for Great Salt Lake, it looks a little bit like that.
Yeah, thank you, Bonnie.
There's a tribe up in British Columbia. Their name is Dene. They're Dene, related to the Navajo and Apache, but they have a different name. I can't remember the name of it, but I met their leaders last week, and their goal is to care for every member of the tribe. That's their goal. And it's not easy, but that's their goal. And they were sharing with me what they're doing to accomplish that. I was really impressed. They depend on the elders for their guidance and advice. And they do what a lot of Indian people used to do long ago is, if they had a problem, they would sit down and talk about it. It might take days, it might take weeks. In fact, the military were always upset with the Indians because they couldn't make a decision right away. Well, the difference is that if they take their time and make the decision, it's solid. That's it. Whereas if you make a quick decision, sometimes it wasn't a good decision. They change their mind and get angry. So it hurts me to see a lot of these homeless people out here. I see people walking around in fear. So how long can I be here before they run me out? And it's like that kind of stuff, not good. So I think if we visualize some of what you visualized and know that it's going to be difficult, but make that our vision, maybe we'll get a little closer. We'll get a little closer. And I don't know. Maybe it'll improve the quality of life of all of us. We don't know. We might have to give up something, though. I'm not sure we can have everything. We might have to give up a little bit in order to help others. So that's what I envision.
Thank you, Forrest.
What I envision is not something you can see, but it's something that I can feel. It's very simple. In 100 years, future me is, I wake up, maybe I'm a little grumpy, but I'm definitely very thirsty and not fully awake, so I go to the sink and I turn on the tap of water as I look at the sun peeking through the trees in front of my window. And the thing that's different is I say thank you in my sleepy, tired, grumpy mood. And that's what everybody does. We're in a state of mind, we're in a state of relationship and of being, of gratitude with everything that is responsible for our life. And so I think like what that concretely looks like or words to put onto that is the rights of nature and personhood for nature, personhood for Great Salt Lake, a world where we don't view food or water or other things in the world as resources, but as relatives.